welcome to Morning Live on SABC2.
Good morning, Vuyo, and good morning to your listeners. Thanks for the invitation.
Now, cosatu says tomorrow's planned protests in Pretoria and Johannesburg are just the start of major mass action if e-tolling goes ahead in Gauteng. What is the view of government and the Department of Transport?
Well, our view is that any right to protest is protected by the Constitution, and therefore cosatu has every right to embark on protest action if they so feel that they are not happy with a particular process, as long as it's done within the confines of the law.
Now, cosatu has also threatened that workers will pull down the gantries if this e-tolling system goes ahead.
Well, any form of vandalism is an area that falls within the space of law enforcement officers, and they will deal with incidents that seek to vandalize property according to the laws of the Republic.
Now, there's confusion. Just tell us about the objective of the recent public hearings that were held. I think in Kempton Park, there was one in Sandton and one in Pretoria, I presume. What was the objective? Was the objective to determine whether e-tolling is going ahead, or was it to have the views of the public about particular matters within the e-tolling bill, which has already been passed by Parliament?
On the 26th of October, we published a gazette, government gazette, as the Department of Transport. In that gazette, there were three issues. The first issue is the conditions of tolling. The second issue is exemption from tolling. And the third issue is the proposed toll tariffs. So we invited members of the public to use the 30-day space between the 26th of October and 26th of November to make written submissions to the Department of Transport to share their views with us so far as those three issues is concerned. So the public information sessions that we held were simply meant to take members of the public, interested parties, through the background of those three issues that are contained in the Gazette, not to discuss the principle of tolling, because as you know, Cabinet has already pronounced itself on the issue of e-tolling going ahead.
Some are suggesting now that here is government not listening to what people are saying.
Well, it cannot be correct. In fact, some of those assertions were argued in court in the past 3 days. You will know that an organization opposed to e-tolling had gone to court to seek relief and basically get the court to set aside the implementation of e-tolling. So our legal representatives as government went and argued the notion that there were no public consultations or enough notices given that the road network in question was going to be tolled. So our legal reps sought to basically share detailed evidence of what government did dating back to 5 years ago, so far as the declaration of the road network in question as a toll road, but also the various public participation processes that we had to go through as required by law. So we believe that our legal representatives used the opportunity adequately to ensure that they dispel any notion that government simply decided to wake up one day and implement e-tolling without consulting with the public, which is a very incorrect notion.
But, I mean, this is not just about legal representation. This is just about what members of the public are saying. If there's a feeling on the ground that, you know, we were not adequately consulted, should government not be doing more? It's not just about a court battle. It's about the government of the people with the people, in a sense.
But on the other hand, the government, the very same government, can provide proof that indeed it did everything required by law to ensure that it consults members of the public.
And yet people are not satisfied. Is there no other way?
Well, you'll know that they've been beyond the processes that took place back in 2007, 2008, and 2009 up until 2011. The Deputy President, through the Interministerial Committee responsible for the Gauteng Freeway Improvement Project, dedicated the past 5 to 6 months or so to meeting with organized formations, your cosatu, outa, Savrala, religious organizations such as the South African Council of Churches, to give them a further hearing, just in case maybe there are certain issues that they may have not raised in the past 5 years or so. And that process was that consultation process was quite intense. We exchanged views and ideas, agreed, and in other areas So we, at the end of that, the Interministerial Committee then submitted a report to Cabinet on the basis of those engagements. And Cabinet then came to a conclusion that after the thorough process that government went through in the past 5 years and these recent sets of consultations that took place in the past 5 months or so, it's actually satisfied with all the details before it, and therefore Cabinet took a decision that e-tolling should go ahead, because Vuyo, you will know that we are not only talking about requesting members of the public to pay a fees for nothing. We are talking about huge improvements that went into the road network in question.
Yeah, but nobody is
denying it. It's such a pure bliss to drive on this road network, Vuyo.
It is.
Previously, 5 years ago, you had about only 2 lanes between Johannesburg and Pretoria. It's quite a nightmare driving there. Looking at the road today, you can see that there are 5 lanes going on both directions. So those are upgrades and improvements to the road that should be appreciated.
There's agreement,
and we need
Tiyani,
to appreciate that.
Indeed, there's consensus. However, the view is, can't the money be raised elsewhere? The organization was saying that this will cost about 70 billion. Is that the costing that government has arrived at?
There are various methods, Vuyo, that you can look at if you are looking at funding infrastructure of the kilometer stretch between Johannesburg and Pretoria's magnitude. There were other people who, for instance, when we were engaging with them in the past 5 months, were raising other alternatives, which when tested by Treasury were not basically feasible for us to be able to deal with the debt that we've incurred, the funding that went into the improvement of the road. So we've tested various methods, and at the end of the day, Cabinet felt that the process of electronic tolling is the most efficient one.
But Tiyani, is it going to cost 70 billion, or government has arrived at a different number?
Well, different figures have been thrown around. What we know is that we have a debt of 20 billion rand that we have to service as a government.
Okay.
You will know that SANRAL, the agency responsible, has already gone through 2 downgrades by our international funders.
Okay.
That doesn't reflect well for the country. It affects the country's credibility financially, internationally. Okay. So we need to take those things into consideration when we're dealing with this issue. Okay.
Tiyani, thank you very much. Tiyani Rikhotso is spokesperson for the Department of Transport. Thank you for joining us.